Mr. Houston's Roseanne Rogers live in the News Center.
Well, Cambrell, this is one marriage proposal you definitely don't want to miss, and it's all caught on camera. Coming up next in The Buzz, we'll show you where and how Tim pops the big question when his girlfriend is least expecting it.
The Buzz.
Here's your chance to bowl to the disco beat and help out a good cause at the same time.
In The Buzz, a Houston couple is taking the plunge not once but twice. News to Houston's Roseanne Rogers joins us live in the News Center with more.
Well, Cambrell, this is the summer of marriage proposals here at Channel 2. Our own Dominique Saxa and Susan Lennon both recently got engaged. And now one of our viewers has just popped the big question to his longtime girlfriend. And as you're about to see, one plunge wasn't enough. Meredith Fraker and Tim Thompson are going skydiving for the very first time. Little does Meredith know that Tim has something else in mind after the big jump.
Meredith, I'm getting ready to propose to you. You're the love of my life. I love you more than anything in this world, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm falling for you today.
All the instructors at Skydive Houston are in on the surprise marriage proposal. Tim begins pacing, but Meredith thinks it's just because he's nervous about the jump. Tim lands first, and just before Meredith hits the ground, she sees something.
A huge tarp that said, "MM, marry me." And Tim was out there with his arms raised, yelling, "I love you."
Then Tim gets down on one knee and proposes to Meredith. Now that they're both back on solid ground, we met at the Lancaster Hotel, the site of their very first date. So when are the happy couple tying the knot?
Super Bowl weekend, January 29th.
Are you excited?
Yes, very
I'm not
excited.
going to plan on watching the Super Bowl.
From KPRC-TV, where local news comes first, this is News to Houston at 5.
A Northwest Houston woman thought she was perfectly safe this past Saturday. She was in her yard. It was cloudy, but it was not yet raining. But in just moments, she was dead after a deadly strike of lightning. News to Houston's Lisa Baldwin is live in Northwest Houston with that story.
There were 2 thunderstorms on Saturday across the Houston area when this happened, described as weak and isolated. But in the end, they were enough to take a precious life. This is Meredith Thompson on one of her happiest days, skydiving for the first time, her husband about to propose.
Meredith, I'm getting ready to propose to you. You're the love of my life. I love you more than anything in this world.
Their love story was featured on News 2 Houston. This is how Tim popped the question.
A huge tarp that said, "MM, marry me." And Tim was out there with his arms raised, yelling, "I love you."
Now, just 2 years later, flowers mark the spot where Meredith's life ended, struck by lightning in front of the couple's home in Northwest Houston.
She was so loving to everyone, and I totally adored her.
Tim says Meredith stepped outside last Saturday afternoon just before 4 o'clock to watch the thunderstorm. When lightning hit, it seemed out of nowhere.
It was an absolute surgical pinpoint laser strike. Her shoulder, they say possibly through her heart and abdomen, and ended up through her foot.
Relatives say Meredith was a marathon runner and a newlywed with a huge zest for life. The National Weather Service reports only 80 people die in the U.S. from lightning strikes each year, and that many times weaker storms can ironically be more deadly because they don't seem as serious.
Oftentimes, they occur from weak thunderstorms rather than the strong ones. The ones that come through barreling and are dropping 30 to 40 bolts a minute give their own warning signs. Obviously, if you see something vicious headed toward you, you go inside.
But Meredith's family believes her death was divine intervention, that it was God's will and her time to go.
This thing appeared, it struck her, and it left. And God plucked a flower from his creation and took her home.
Now, the National Weather Service reminds everyone that there are more thunderstorms and thus lightning in southeast Texas and South Florida than any other parts of the country. We are live in Northwest Houston. I'm Lisa Baldwin.
And here are some more facts about lightning. It kills nearly 100 people every year in the U.S. and injures hundreds of others. A single bolt of lightning can generate temperatures up to 50,000 degrees and can travel as far as 40 miles. As for the chance of being struck by lightning, weather experts say they are better than winning the lottery.
You're watching ABC 13, Houston's news leader.
Some
Summertime also means lightning strike season. A young Houston woman was killed over the weekend, struck by lightning, and tonight we spoke with her husband. 26-year-old Meredith Thompson was outside Saturday afternoon doing some gardening. It wasn't raining at the time. There were some dark clouds overhead. Meredith's husband, Tim, was inside their home at the time. He suddenly heard a loud pop.
I had my eyes closed, and this light just hit me, and it was just tremendous. Just pow! It was really sharp and quick.
Just an improbable story. Tim found his wife lying on the ground. Lightning had struck Meredith in her left shoulder. It traveled through her body, exited her left foot. She was taken to Spring Branch Medical Center, where she later died. The couple had been married just a little over a year. Thompson says his faith is helping him get through this.
Now, in this time of year, thunderstorms can be deadly.
Every year, lightning kills nearly 100 people in the United States. A year ago today, one of those victims was right here in Houston. WB39's Christy Powers has more.
37-year-old Tim Thompson will never forget what happened 1 year ago today.
It just was a massive explosion, like a bomb went off just right on top of the house, and I came to the door, and you know, she was laying literally right here, and this is where the lightning hit. This is where it struck. That's the only remnants that there's anything that ever happened here.
The weather was fairly nice the day Meredith Thompson was struck and killed by lightning. There were just 2 weak isolated thunderstorms in the Houston area, but they can be the most deadly and dangerous.
The weaker storms don't have those visual cues that a very large squall line might have.
One of the worst places to be when lightning strikes, an open space like a golf course where you become a target.
Charges tend to focus on a point, so a tree out in an open field is a likely target, top of a tall building. Water sports are big around here. Get off the water by all means.
If your hair starts to stand on end, lightning may be about to strike close by. Crouch down, put your hands on your knees, and make sure you're standing on the balls of your feet. The goal here, to minimize the contact with the ground.
You don't want to lie flat on the ground. Sure, that'll make you the lowest point, but now if there's some of the electricity is spreading on the wet ground, for example, you've exposed your whole body to the electricity.
A good plan to avoid getting struck, the 30-30 rule.
30 seconds. You see lightning, it takes 30 seconds until you hear the thunder. That's roughly 6 miles.
And that's dangerous. Wait 30 minutes after the last lightning strike before venturing out. For Tim, this information comes too little, too late.
She's not here, and it went all the way through her. It didn't just kind of hit her. God took a precious flower